Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Protect Yourself and Your Team, Affordable Health Insurance for Small Businesses. I'm Rebecca Chauncey, a business advisor here at the Illinois Small Business Development Center, or SBDC at Bill Bronzeville. We're so pleased to have you join us today. This training is brought to you at no cost because it's funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the United States Small Business Administration, or the USSBA, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and the Urban Juncture Foundation. One housekeeping note today, if you have questions, please type them in the Q&A section, which you'll see if you hover or move your mouse at the bottom of your screen. And we'll take questions if relevant in the moment. And there will also be time for questions at the end of the presentation. And I'm so pleased to introduce you to today's presenter. A Bronzeville resident, Robin Pettit is a passionate health insurance broker that is licensed in Illinois, Indiana, and Texas, contracted with over 20 insurance carriers. Impressive, right? As a fellow small business owner, she enjoys educating, consulting with her fellow owners on how they can protect their families and staff within their budgetary needs. Without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic on to Robin.
Hello, everybody. Let me do this because I got this little small uh, display deal here. Let's see this. Okay. All right. No, I don't want to do it that way. Okay. So, I'm going to, no, well, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get the right presenter page so I can see my screen. So, hello, everybody. I am Robin Pettit, Robin's Resource Group, and I'm so glad you were able to attend. Um, my name is Robin Pettit. I am a health insurance consultant. The objective of the conversation today will be just about health insurance, right? I'm not going to assume you don't have insurance. I'm not going to assume you don't know anything. But the objective that I do in all of my calls and even when I work with people individually is kind of tell you about the industry. These are things that I have learned. These are things that I want to share with. I'm a small business owner as well. And I want to share with you guys so you can know as you build your business, what's available to you from group insurance, but what's available to you as an individual and how to go about that. I am a Brownsville resident. I grew up in Chicago. I'm originally from Boston, but I went to Chicago Vocational High School, which is something Chicago people always talk about. And I have a long IT insurance background. I got into health insurance because someone was doing it and I was giving him a lot of referrals. And I asked him what he was doing, and he was telling me he was closing a deal. So I explored it, and I've been doing it for over 3 years now. And I have just soaked it up like a sponge. So I put in the corner, let's break bread, because it's a conversation. If you have questions, I can't really see them because the way I have my screen. So Rebecca will let me know, and I'll be glad to answer them. And then hopefully we can have a follow-up after the presentation. So the first section that I want to go over is terminology, right? And terminology is huge in health insurance. Underwriting, it has so many analytics, data, things that they use that we usually drive by within when we're doing a quoting, right? So you know what health insurance is, but health insurance is a contract. And I learned to keep that in mind because depending on the type of coverage, depending on the level of coverage, will depend on what the health insurance is going to pay or not pay and what you're going to be out of in terms of expenses. So it's very and you know it's a business, and I know there's been a lot of controversy and discussion in social media and all of that, but it definitely is something that it's a business, right? It's no different than car insurance or business insurance. It is a business and they run it like a business, even though it's key to keeping people alive every day. So I think one of the important things that I've learned and I share with my clients is how to navigate it to make it the best for you. Pre-existing conditions. Why I wanted to put pre-existing conditions is I've met a lot of people. I've written health insurance for a lot of people. And what I tell people, you can't control it, but if you're healthy now and you don't have insurance, I would suggest you get some level of insurance because once you get pre-existing conditions, your options for insurance get smaller. So if you're healthy, if you have a child that's in their 20s and they're healthy, get them to get a whole life policy or a universal life policy, even if you have to pay it. I've worked with a few parents who have done that, where because their life insurance policy, because they're young and healthy, yeah, for 500,000 could be like $35 a month. But even if I've written policies for people with no pre-existing conditions that at 60 something and got a pretty decent rate. And that applies to medical insurance as well. Even though health insurance it should legitimately cover everybody, it doesn't. ACA does, and I'll share that later with no questions. They don't have any health questions. But regular insurance, they ask a bunch of questions. And a lot of times you can't get out of that loop. So I say if you have good health, get health insurance. If your health is challenging, get health insurance. There is something out there for you. I definitely have found people insurance. It may not be exactly what they want, but it's enough to go in and get that preventive care so they can maintain their medications and maintain their health so they can continue to work and thrive in their business. So this is something that people don't talk about, the Medical Information Bureau. The Medical Information Bureau is the MIB. So I'll give you guys an example. When I meet with people one-on-one, I have to take some demographics. Your birthday, I ask you some high-level questions. Do you have any pre-existing conditions? Do you take medicine? Well, I ask those questions because I have access to so many carriers, I also have the privilege of having access to all their underwriting guides. And I can kind of look at their guide, do a search, and see if you take this medication, if they're going to approve you for the application. And usually underwriting guides are hundreds of pages. So it's not something that they took 5 days to make. It's something they built on years. So the Medical Information Bureau actually keeps 7 years of health insurance on everybody in the country. So if you go to the doctor and your doctor said you have a high risk for diabetes and they prescribed you a medicine, and you may say, no, Robin, I don't have diabetes. They said I had pre-diabetes. I was pre-diabetic, but I'm not taking the medicine. That is still in your record that you're pre-diabetic, and it is still in your record that they prescribed you a medicine. So when I go to submit your application, the application bumps up against that database. And I may get a bump back saying, hey, your client is pre-diabetic. We'll cover her, but we're not going to cover that medication for a year. Then I have people that I say, have you been hospitalized for the last 5 years? Some people won't tell me. Some people don't tell me certain things because they don't want to tell me or they think that's going to get them through. Well, once I submit the application, I've had applications come back and say they went to the hospital on this day, find out the information why. They got 2 medications. You didn't put that on your application. Why? And I have to call back and say, are you on 2 medications? And if they tell me, I may have to say, well, I wouldn't have submitted you for that because of those medications. So the database is the database. So for those people who like to go to the doctor, I am not one, I go for my preventive, but I have friends who they go because they're a little hypochondriac or whatever the case may be. Anything that they put in your record is in that database for 7 years. If you go to urgent care, that's in your database for 7 years. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. I'm just saying that that's to know that they're keeping data on us for 7 years, right? And some of them keep it for 10 years. Some companies scrub it for 10 years. So it's not anything that people don't know, right? It's not anything the insurance companies don't know. So life insurance, health insurance, They have this database and they use it every day. They use it for other things as well, but this is something key that is used for that. Any questions so far? So
Not
when
yet.
go ahead.
Not yet. Thanks.
Okay, good. So the network. So the network piece, which I've learned so much since I've become a health insurance consultant, the network piece, when you have your medical insurance, they tell you can only go within network or out of network, right? So what I'm learning is the first thing that everybody goes to is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now, nothing wrong with Blue Cross Blue Shield, but there's so many other carriers that have good coverage. But what Blue Cross Blue Shield has done, probably more effective than others, is the higher your cost, the bigger your network of doctors to choose from. The lower your cost, the lower your network to choose from. So when I talk with people who don't have as much of a budget and they want to go to the doctors that they already have chosen, I may look into the network of the insurance that they can afford, and none of their doctors are in it, right? So that's where I have to work with people to say, no, let's figure out how you can use this to your advantage, this insurance that you can afford versus that, right? Maybe call your doctor, or I call them and say, do you take this, and sometimes if the person goes to that doctor for a long time, they may go ahead and accept it, but it may be out of network and you may not have the money. So it's a decision that people have to make. But the other thing I like to tell people is, people love to say Blue Cross Blue Shield and Northwestern. Yes, Northwestern is a great hospital. Northwestern is a teaching hospital, but it's not the only hospital that gives good care. So if you're making a decision on the hospital that you want on your medical insurance and you're going to pay higher because of that, I'll probably give you a couple other options like try Rush, try a couple of other places, especially if you're pretty healthy. Now, if you're a person that goes to Northwestern and you got 10 doctors there, then yeah, we have to find an insurance that includes that network. But surprisingly, some other hospitals have a little bit more flexibility. Northwestern accepts a lot of insurances. University of Chicago is a little tight on who they accept. Rush is a lot more flexible, and then it used to be called, it's Christ, but it's called something else. They're pretty good as well. So when I work with you, or if you're working on your network, always know that, the bigger your network, probably bigger your cost. So how do you manage that as well? So the next slide, I won't read all of this to you, but what I wanted to share out of this slide is to just talk about the type of health insurance plans, right? Because you have plans and then you have coverages, right? You guys are small business owners and so am I, but you do have the options to go through the Affordable Care Act, fixed indemnity plans, or group insurance plans. So Affordable Care Act is the marketplace funded by the government. And you have all of the carriers in it that have ACA plans. It's for people under 65, and it is a major medical insurance. And they accept all pre-existing conditions. In addition to that, they have something called a premium tax subsidy that you can get depending on your demographics, your household size, your state, and the amount of money you make a year, whether you're single or you are married, right? So that insurance is usually for those people who have a lot of pre-existing conditions, or their children have some issues, and they need something where they won't be asked a lot of questions, and they're more comfortable because they're used to corporate insurance. And the caveat there is no insurance like corporate insurance, because corporate insurance, if you used to have that, like I used to have it, they pay for most of your premiums, right? Because they're big. So anything that you're doing trying to keep at the same level as corporate insurance, you're going to pay much more money for it, right? So a lot of people get ticker shock once they actually once they start getting quotes from me, right? And they don't believe me. And I'm like, no, you had corporate, that's because they paid most of your premium. Um, Fixed indemnity plans. Now, fixed indemnity plans is something that we have to say is not actual insurance, but what we like to say is not major medical insurance. Some pre-existing conditions aren't covered, but what they are is they're a plan that tells you up front what they're going to pay for when it comes to surgery, when it comes to hospital visits. But they have a vast network. Believe it or not, a lot of doctors take it. And if you go in network with this type, they will give you a network discount. And in a lot of cases, you don't even end up paying anything, but they tell you up front how much you're going to pay, whether it's $5,000 a day for hospital stay or $100 towards your primary care visit. So that's the difference, but that is the type of plan that it's geared towards small business owners, is geared towards those children that you have that are 26 and still need insurance because they're still trying to figure out things and you want them to have insurance. It's geared towards healthy people, right? So you can get insurance. I tell people you can get insurance. You may not be able to get corporate insurance, but you can get some medical insurance to make sure you have preventive insurance to get preventive care. And it is cheaper, right? It's definitely cheaper. So that's why I tell people, just call me, let's do a quote and we talk about it, right? The group insurance plans for small business is under 65, and then your employee sponsored, it's an employee sponsored plan. So we're going to talk about that in detail, how that works and what that looks like from a standpoint of having staff, if that's something as you grow your business that you want to offer. So type of health insurance coverages is HMO, PPO, and then another coverage called HSA, Health and Savings Account. There's insurance coverages that come with HSA, which with the HMO, you go to a designated set of network. It's for the cost conscious people. And then, of course, you may need a referral. And a lot of times now, people are like, I don't want to have to get a referral. Well, if you can usually go where you want, you just need that referral, right? From your primary care. So, and those plans have been naturally cheaper, and a lot of carriers are kind of pushing people to HMOs because they're not offering a lot of PPOs, and it's because they want people to be under a more controlled care. Because as you can see with the MIB and with the being a business, they want to control your care a little bit more, and they want to make sure that the doctors are involved in controlling your care. And for those who don't want that, with PPOs, you have more flexibility. The premiums are higher, and these are the people that value choice, right? But if it's a choice between no PPO and only HMO option, people, go for it, or they go for a fixed indemnity plan where they can actually choose where they want to go. Now, the health savings account plans usually are lower premiums, but you put money away similar to a flexible spending account for medical expenses. But the thing about the HSA plans, you can also utilize them for retirement, right? So if you don't use it all for medical insurance, it stays in that account and you can keep that account and use it for other things or as a source of income as you get older. So some people choose these plans so that they can put money away. I think I may start it too. I'm getting a little up there. I think I may start it as well. But that's another option that's in the marketplace and even in the fixed indemnity realm as well. Okay, so this is the group insurance slide. I just took it from our group insurance presentation. And over to the right kind of gives you a list of all of the carriers that I service when it comes to group insurance. So I'm sure some of the names you are familiar with, but one of them, Beam, may be a new one to the scene. But Beam is a group insurance carrier 100%, but they have great dental insurance plans that you can get. Prime insurance is for pharmaceuticals. Now, a lot of insurance companies are not providing as much premium prescription plan coverage. So Prime specializes in that. And you can provide all of those as an option within the realm of group insurance. So for group insurance, what are some of the benefits for you? You definitely get tax benefits and credits, right? And for small businesses, you may have that one or two good worker that really needs insurance, may have a couple of children that they have to feed, may be on Medicaid, because I had a few of these where, man, they have to keep their money under a certain amount so that they can still be eligible for Medicaid. But the issue with that is that they can't go where they want, or they have some issues with that, right? So, or you want to pay them more as your business grow, and they're like, oh, but no, I'll lose my insurance. So one success story I have is a State Farm agent had a staff member, one staff member. She was really good. She was licensed, but she was keeping her salary down because she wanted to keep her Medicaid for her kids. Well, she called me, Robin, what can we do? And I'll tell you about that story later. And then when I worked with her, she was so nervous because it was real. She needed that Medicaid insurance. But we worked it out, and she was able to get her salary increase, which went up substantially, and also get in the realm of getting real insurance and being part of, just feeling so much better. It was definitely a success story that this small business owner did for her. And so she's well on her way to finally doing something and enjoying real pay. But a lot of people make those sacrifices. We get data all the time around medical insurance, right? They make a lot of sacrifices because they need it. So for employees, access affordable care and improve well-being and productivity for sure. So under group insurance is dental insurance, is critical illness, accident, prescription insurance, life insurance that you can offer. And we can talk about that on an individual basis of what that looks like. Okay. So group plans. So how you set them up, right? One of the first things that you have to do is assess your business, right? You may have to assess. It may be a lot of people that call me may only have, say, their family and maybe one or two. Or maybe they got three, but they're not sure if those people are willing to even contribute to their medical insurance. So that's the first conversation we have. And then you submit a census sheet, and then we send you out to all of the carriers that I showed you and come back with some quotes, right? You definitely have to really assess your budgetary needs, because if you go down to cost sharing is something where the employee, no matter the carrier, you have to pay a certain percentage of their total monthly premium. So if the total monthly premium comes up to $400 or $500, you have to pay 50% of that or 35% of that. So that is why you have to really assess your budget needs and what you really can afford in addition to whatever you have to do for your family. The other thing, that's why I say you'll be your own HR. When I talk about corporate America, they have a specific business enrollment team. This is what they do in their career. In the case of a small business or a small company, you have to either do that yourself or have somebody learn the process. Like I worked with one group and the owner wanted the accountant to do it. Well, when I reached out to her, she had never managed a benefit plan before. So we literally had to start from scratch. And she had a lot of concerns because they have clear deadlines. They have policies you have to follow. If people want to terminate or change, she has to submit the documentation. So I tell people, having a group plan is like you need a benefit person, but you may be, very organized and able to handle it all yourself. Hey, go for it. But it's just something to know. And then the deductibles themselves, there may be a huge deductible depending on the plan that you choose for your company. So you may have to be a part of understanding and handle out. But if the expenses write-off outweigh the how much you pay, then it may be a benefit for you, but it's definitely an individual choice. And then there's a waiver note for groups, right? That you may have 10 people and they may say, well, this waiter staff, they're young, they may not be interested. Well, they cannot waive. There's a policy, say on Blue Cross Blue Shield, that everybody that waives, they cannot waive because of they can't afford it. Because if you have a certain percentage that says that, because that's one of the options why, then you won't be eligible to have a group plan, because you have to have a plan that's affordable. So, right, when you're going into this, you got to think of it like you think about like business benefit teams think about it. It has to be a logical plan that people can afford. And sometimes if you're working in a restaurant, you don't have $150 extra dollars to put towards your medical insurance, right? So those are conversations I have with the different businesses as well. But there's hope, there's options, right? And for a small business owner, you can acquire a group plan. You can allow your staff to purchase an individual plan or purchase a single coverage plan, and the staff pays for remaining health coverage. Acquire the group plan, just went over that in a slide. That's one area. Another plan, which is the success story that I told you about, is that this State Farm agent, she allocated, say, $350 a month that she was going to give towards the health insurance costs for her staff member. So when I got with the staff member, I said, okay, your boss said she's going to give you $350 a month. Let's do your demographics. Tell me what you want. Do you want medical, dental, and vision? She said yes. So I came back with quotes under $350 or more. I gave her options for more coverage because she wanted certain coverages that was within $350, right? So she was able to we was able to find her something because she was eligible for ACA and her total cost was only $180. So it was a success story. She got great coverage. She got great dental and vision for her and her son. And it's going to be $182. So, of course, her boss is pretty much going to be paying $180 for her insurance every month. So that's what I tell a lot of group people, small business. If you want to offer something, give that person $250 or whatever your budget is towards their insurance. They'll call me and they'll say, well, Robin, in addition to $150, I can only give $50. Okay, well, let's see what we can find for you. And whatever they choose is whatever they choose. Then you don't have to worry about the paperwork. You don't have to worry about they terminating the policy. You don't have to worry about filling out all this paperwork for the carrier, but you can still write it off, right? So that is a genius way that you can definitely do it. And then that takes a lot off of you as a business person. So one of the other ways is, well, Robin, I don't have 350 and I don't have 150. Well, some people say, well, at least I can at least offer them dental insurance or vision insurance, which tends to be less for people under $100, right? Or there's an accidental insurance plan that we sell that is, and I have it. If they have an accident or something like that, they break a leg or something like that, it gives you a flat fee. It may give you $1,000 for breaking your leg. It may give you $10,000 if you lose an arm, but at least they have something. Just it incentivizes a person to stay with you versus somewhere else, right? For the same type of job. Right. As I have a few family members that are young and they do move around. But if they're offered some type of insurance and they like you and they like what they do, they may stay and be able to tell their friends, well, I get some insurance, at least I get dental or something like that, right? So those are the different ways as a small business owner. If you want to retain your talent or you want to say, hey, as we grow, I'll add more to this. But for right now, this is all I can offer you. And then if they call me, then I can give them a full quote and say, well, they're going to pay for your dental. Then you have enough in your budget to give health insurance. So I kind of work as that person to kind of educate them as well. Okay, no questions. So here are some key things that I stressed to Rebecca that I really wanted you guys to understand. I usually don't get a lot of interest, a lot of time into that people start seeing and hearing this open enrollment commercials, right? So ACA, the one I spoke about, that you can only enroll through November and January with effective dates of January 1 to February 1st. or February 1st. They don't budge on that. It's over when it's over, and it's over, right? So if you're a person that have a lot of pre-existing conditions, or someone in your family need whatever, and you really need insurance, and you want to see if you're eligible for the premium tax credit, you have to do it during this time. Other than that, the only way you can be considered for it is special enrollment period, right? So special enrollment period is if somebody died, you got a divorce, you got kicked off, or your kids got kicked off. I've had situations, unfortunately, where people have gone through divorce. The other spouse was supposed to pay their insurance, and now their kids don't have insurance. So the special enrollment period is for things like that, when you can add them to your insurance or get insurance because your situation has changed. But you have to show documentation, and you have to make sure that there's only 9 options, by the way. So that's very key to understanding the rules and the law. I don't know if things are going to change under our new president, but the other thing about that, Affordable Care Act is a law. Okay. So I'm, as a health insurance person, I'm not panicking, but I will tell you some of the benefits around the premium tax credit. Those Biden increased it. So if you make $200,000 a year, depending on your other demographics, you were able to get a premium tax subsidy. So I don't think that's going to stay the same under our current president. But at any rate, I still have confidence that the Affordable Care Act will be around in some shape, form, or fashion. Over 23 million people, if not more, enrolled in it. It's needed. I've helped a lot of people. Fixed indemnity plans is year-round enrollment. So it's year-round. You can call me all year. And a lot of times I get calls, and people don't know, I get a lot of travel nurses calls who they can get it through their contract, but they don't keep their contracts that long because they're making so much money that they move around a lot. So fixed indemnity plans, you can call me all year round. Medicare, I don't think you have anybody, but if you have family members that are getting ready to turn 65, or you have parents that you're taking care of, or loved ones you're taking care of, and they're paying a lot of money and their premiums every month, please give me a call, because there are plans that are zero premium. They do have an open enrollment October and December, but they're a little bit more flexible with seniors. They have special enrollments, which anything goes. If they have a plan that they can't afford, we can switch them, right? So Medicare is a little different, but spread that word as well, because that can be very confusing. But I did want to point these dates out and let you know that, when those opportunities for you come up. So, since there were any questions, but we'll wrap it up. The call to action for you as a group is that what I'm passionate about, and when I speak to people who are literally scared or afraid or paying as they go, is there's at least 62% of the population without health insurance coverage. That's a huge number. That could be a lot of business for me, but that's a lot of risk out there with people who don't have health insurance, life insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, because dental coverage is just as key. It contributes to heart conditions and things like that, but I won't get on my soapbox. But I will say that, just evaluate your needs, spread the word, evaluate if you have some cousins or something that probably could afford some sort of insurance, just have them call me. I like having conversations with people who don't believe in insurance. It helps me understand people's mindset, but I also help them understand, what's out there and what they can do. I'm pushing around the 5 P's, right? Some people say the 3 P's, but just be prepared, acquire consultation, whether it's about I'm going to get this contract and I'm going to have 5 people. What can I offer them? We can go over that with you, right? We can go over how that works. I want to budget $150 per person, Robin. What should I do? We can talk about that. Execute a plan, choose the option that works for you and your family, or choose the option that works for not only your family and your team. Just get that evaluation, right? Preventive health visits. Your health is your wealth. The Affordable Care Act, the good thing about all of the plans, even in the fixed indemnity plans, they have a whole wellness section now. They have regular doctor visits, but they have a wellness section because insurance companies know if we go get our preventive health care, our prostate, our colonoscopies, then their medical insurance commitment will go down and then people will be healthier. That is the goal. The Affordable Care Act has a whole preventive setup, things that you get for free if you go once a year. They call it a wellness visit. Even regular insurances now have wellness visits. All of those are usually covered 100%. And what happens when you're healthy? Productivity increases. You have enough brain space for this artificial intelligence because we need, as small business, we're going to need to really get our brains going because that's where everything is going. I went to a session the other day for small business and artificial intelligence, and it racked my brain. But over the weekend, I'm gonna see how it benefits me in my business. It retains and keeps employees, and when you feel good, you perform even better. So that is my presentation on health insurance. My name is Robin Pettit. This is all of my information, 872-251-2551. I am a Bronzeville resident. I'm also president of the park, so you may see me around. But I hope this was informative for you. If you have any other questions, here's my information. And I really appreciate you participating and showing up because I know most people have 25 things to do in a day. So, yeah.
Hey, bravo to Robin. We so appreciate you and the wealth of knowledge you shared about health insurance. I know one thing that really stood out to me was about the Medical Information Bureau.
Yeah.
And wow, how they're keeping at least 7 years of
Yes.
our medical
Yes.
visits and medications and such.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
don't
And
lie.
some people, when they do applications with me for life insurance, they
Mhm.
don't tell me everything, right? Or I'll meet somebody and say, well, I tried to get life insurance and it was rejected. And I'm like, why? And sometimes the brokers tell you, that we don't know the details of what it is, but it
Sure.
may say category 25, congenital heart disease or something, or
Mm.
falls under heart. Now, if
Hmm.
you tell me you got a heart issue or you was in a hospital 2 years ago for a heart issue, I need to know that. And I need
Yes.
to know exactly what it was called because then I can look on the underwriting or call the underwriting department and say, I have a client, this is what they want to do. They may say, well, you can't offer them that type of policy, but we got this type of policy. So it's ways to work, but I need to know that up front. But so many people out here be like, I got rejected. You probably got rejected because you did something 2 or 3 years ago. Lung, heart, cancer is telltale. Now they ask the question, have you or one of your parents had cancer before the age of 65?
Wow.
They ask that question on life insurance policies now.
Wow. Wow.
So it's real, and I like to tell people, but we can't get around it. But the more information I know up front, I can come back to you and say, man, I can't do that life insurance policy, but we can do this one, and you're only gonna be able to get 25, 50,000. So that's why it's good to do it when you don't have nothing yet. It's crazy, but if you ain't got
Yes.
nothing or you got something little, yeah, if you
Yes.
take a medication, high blood pressure is not even that bad. But if you went to the doctor the last 3, 4 years and your blood pressure stays high and your weight is this high, they're gonna say no. So you know what I mean? So they look at all the hits. They get hits and they call them hits. Well,
Yeah.
we got 3 hits last year and you didn't have that in your application. So I have to go back and say, did you go to the doctor 3 times? And then I have people scuffling and telling me the truth then. And then I'm like, oh my God, you asked for 150,000 in life insurance. They're only giving, and they ended up giving him 65,000. And he was mad at me, but you didn't tell me the truth up front.
Yeah.
Front. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Mhm.
they're measuring their risk. They're
Sure.
measuring,
Sure.
you
As you
know,
also pointed out, which is, thank you for your candor. You said healthcare is
yeah,
in health insurance, it is a business.
yeah,
So understand that, I mean, you're talking to business owners. We
Yep,
know what it's about. You have a
yep,
business to make profits. Yes, you want to
yes,
serve, and hopefully you're moving forward with good intentions.
yep,
But the bottom line is that you're also supposed to be generating revenue and
yep,
subsequent profits.
yep.
So that's
So,
a
and the thing
good thing to
is,
point out.
because when you're in, everybody at some point worked for others, right? And
Sure.
so you expect the insurance to do whatever you want. That's never been the case, and it
Mhm.
truly isn't the case now. They're not going to pay for everything. They're going to scuffle but everything. But if you understand that up front, you will know what, what's covered, right? So
Right.
that's the piece. You can't just wait. And if you wait until I have people calling me talking about they need a teeth pulled, well, I'm like, they're only going to pay 10% of it in your first year. You know what I mean? So if
Mhm.
you just now getting dental insurance. I had one woman call me. She wanted all this work. She went to the dentist, called me from the dentist. Girl, you trying to get $3,000 worth of work in your first year of having this coverage and you've had it for 3 months. They've already have it figured out. They're only going to give you this amount in your first year. You have to have for dental insurance, you got to have at least 2 or 3 years in order to get full benefit because they figured out that people go right to the dentist and try to get all the work done. You can't do that. You got to space it out.
Well, but that also speaks to, and I'll be mindful of everyone's
Oh,
time,
yeah. Hmm.
that speaks to preventive
Yes.
visits, right?
Yes.
The
Yep.
That makes a difference. If you know that you have a cavity, your tooth has
Yes.
been feeling a little off, and you
Hmm.
go and you find, oh, that's because you have this cavity and it's small, right?
Hmm.
So then that can be taken care of versus you've waited a number of months or years and you need a root canal. Oh, guess
Yep.
what? You're coming out of pocket for the most
Yes.
part for that root canal.
Yes.
So it is just I was told that actually dental insurance is really it gives you a discount
Yes.
on
Yes.
the services. So
Yes. Yep.
don't be surprised. But
Yep.
we just
Don't
thank you.
try to
I'm
get an
sure.
implant because you can't get an implant on most of the insurance. I got one or two that'll give you an implant in your second or third year of
Wow.
having it.
Wow.
Oh,
Well, as you all can tell, Robin has lots of information and insight for your health insurance needs.
yeah.
And we again thank you. We thank her for sharing her knowledge with us. As you can see, if you are not already a client with us at the Illinois SBDC at Bill Bronzeville, you can sign up. You can reach out to us via email, the website, or give us a call. But ultimately, you will need to sign up online or even go to the same place where you signed up for today's training and just become a client so that you can have a one-on-one advising session. And remember to reach out to Robin. That was one of the questions that we received a few minutes ago. Thank you for your question. You can receive or connect with Robin as noted via email, the website, or give her a call. And you will receive a survey. You'll receive a follow-up email with a survey about today's training. Please share your feedback. There will also be space for you to recommend future training. We love to
Mhm.
provide sessions that are really relevant and can help business owners like you excel. And there will be a link to the recording of today's session. So you can replay at your convenience and remind yourself of some points that Robin shared, as well as take a look at this last slide too, if
Mhm.
you weren't able to jot down all of our contact information.
Yep.
But once again, we appreciate you all. Here's to having the very best health care and health
Yes.
insurance at great rates, and continue to have a wonderful day and
Yeah.
weekend ahead.
Yes.
Take care, everyone.